Welcome back to Light the Fuse, where we say goodbye to Graham Moore because shortly after the recording of this episode, we murdered him in cold blood.
This is, Drew, we were supposed to get an alibi. This is the opposite of what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't murder him. We were not involved at all. No, we would never murder Graham. He was lovely.
We would never. Graham is lovely. I mean, it's amazing that he took the time to talk to us. And you're going to love more of our chat with him, the conclusion of our chat with him today. And also today, I got to say this, we got to talk about it. John Wick Chapter 4 is out the weekend that this episode releases.
It's out.
We are not lighting the wick as of now. I'm not sure if we will hear on the main feed, but you can definitely hear us talk about John Wick 4 in detail on the Patreon. And Drew, have I told you before what a Patreon is?
No, if you would remind me, I need to know where I will be talking about John Wick, so please tell me.
Okay, yeah. So when we record those Patreon episodes, it's for this website, patreon.com/lightthefuse, which I think they even, I don't have it, but I think they have an app too that you can download. It's very convenient for those of you out there who have not signed up yet. Please do. Patreon.com/lightthefuse. We will do a bonus episode all about John Wick 4. We will dive deep into all of its splendor.
We will check into the Continental,
yes,
and we will give you all of our thoughts.
Yeah. Because John Wick is out today, we're not lighting the wick, but I will just say quickly, because one of our Patreon subscribers, I'm going to probably mispronounce her name, Scylla, told us about this. So did you know this, that the Vegas Golden Knights, the hockey team in Vegas, they use the song John Wick Mode for like the team. It's from the John Wick Chapter 2 soundtrack. And in 2017, the Golden Knights VP of Entertainment was searching for a song to play as the team took the ice. It was for the first time in franchise history. They wanted to find a song. And so they decided to try this song out from John Wick 2 during a preseason game. And then they knew immediately by the reaction that it would stick. And so this is what the Golden Knights have skated onto the ice to this song in every home game since. So whether it's at the arena or inside a wedding or in a bar for a watch party, play the song anywhere within the city limits and it will conjure "Go Knights, Go" cheers.
I thought you were going to say that they were going to materialize like out of the fog, just wherever you play it. I was on the edge of my seat.
I want to go to a game in Vegas and go. I want to see. I'm a big Kings fan, and so I'd love to see the Kings play Vegas there. I feel like the Vegas they missed out. They could have been the Las Vegas Aces, which would have been such a great way to trump the Los Angeles Kings. But they went with Golden Knights. I don't know why. Anyway. What the fun thing is, though, that they use this song, John Wick Mode. We'll put it in our show notes so you can listen to it. And, hey, play that song when you're in Vegas, and you'll get some Go Knights Go cheers, I guess.
Love that. Anything else you want to talk about?
I think we actually mentioned this at one point today in this interview, but also Top Gun Maverick, speaking of Vegas, is playing in a pool at the Cosmopolitan on July 3rd. One of our same Patreon subscriber, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Scylla, she told us about this. They call it dive-in movies as a play on, I assume, drive-in movies. And if you're looking to go to Vegas for 4th of July, you can buy a ticket and go see Top Gun Maverick in a pool high above the Vegas Strip.
Wow. Can you imagine the amount of fireworks that go off in Vegas on the 4th of July? Absolutely.
Well, I think this is on July 3rd. Will they be doing fireworks on July 3rd too?
I mean, let's be honest. Last year it was for about a week that they did fireworks. So.
True. But hey, why not fireworks during Top Gun Maverick? Why not?
That's pretty inspirational and pretty American. I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, before we get into it, Charles, obviously I got to do my favorite part of the show, which are my shout outs. Shout out to Jeremy Dillon and his podcast, My Favorite Album. Also, shout out to John B., Elvis Ripley, and Suche. Without you, we could not do this show. And of course, if you want to be amongst the rarefied air of these wonderful people, think about joining our Patreon. And if you need a refresher course on how to do that, at the end of the show, Charles will clue you in because I'm absolutely baffled. So Charles will tell us how to get involved with that towards the end of the show.
Yes, and just, as we start this interview back up again, we jump into it here, coming off of Graham talking about his meeting with McQuarrie and when he met with him.
Cool. All right, let's get into it, and we'll be back afterwards.
And then you ended up using his DP, right, from The Way of the Gun? Dick Pope?
Dick Pope, yes. Dick Pope shot the outfit. I love Dick Pope. Yes, I remember my first conversation with Dick, whose work he shot almost all of Mike Leigh's films over the years, another director who I really, really admire. I've loved Dick's work, and so when we were talking, I was so touched that he had wanted to come to the outfit, because the outfit was, I mean, it's a $5 million movie. It's, very small. And so when Dick said he wanted to do it, I was so thrilled, and I remember getting on the Zoom with him and saying, okay, I've written films before, but this is my first time as a director. Do you have... talking about like first-time directors you've worked with and how that's gone, and have you had problems with it? Have you had it go well? And he said, Dick sort of says, well, actually, the last one I worked with was McQuarrie on Way of the Gun, and I like McQuarrie. I'm sort of going, oh God, that's the standard that now I have to live up to. That's this is gonna be pretty rough. But yeah, so then I was kind of asking him. So I was asking him, and funnily enough, I remember asking Dick for advice about how did McQuarrie handle directing for the first time. And, he was telling, me stories about how McQuarrie was very good at finding quiet moments to just be by himself for a couple minutes in the middle of the day, to just take a breath, step aside, and that it's always fine to just take a moment and, take a breath away from the chaos of a film set. But, it was so great to get to work with someone like Dick, Dick has been sort of making, for the most part, like award-winning British independent films since literally before I was born. He was shooting Queen music videos
right
way back in the day. So it was lovely. I remember as a first-time filmmaker, I wanted to really work with a cinematographer like that who had as much experience as I had little. Yeah, gosh, it was such a great learning experience.
Do you outline?
Yes, obsessively, and then ignore it.
Oh.
It's such an inefficient system. I bet people should do better things than whatever I do. Whenever I give advice, it's like whatever I do is always the absolute like silliest thing to do. I write really, really detailed outlines, and then half the time you actually get into the script itself, and I always want to give myself freedom to diverge from it. In a way that you sort of want to give yourself freedom to try stuff at any point in the process. Right? Like scripts are pieces of paper. They're really helpful pieces of paper for making a movie, but the map is never the territory. And you never want to feel like, oh, just because I typed something in an outline the other day that seemed compelling, that should not prevent me from trying something now that I'm actually into the pages of the script. Just as, when you're on set, you never want to say like, well, oh gosh, this moment seemed really great when I was sitting alone in my apartment, acting it out to myself and typing it into Final Draft. But now that we're here on set, one of these actors has a better idea. And you want to leave yourself the freedom to sort of do that in the moment for the most part, because usually, I don't know, actors have good ideas. They're the ones physically doing it. They know what it feels like to do it, and they know when it feels wrong, and they know when it feels right, and they know that if it feels wrong to do, there's probably a reason it feels wrong to do. So yeah, the short answer to the question is I do lots of kind of interim documents. I generate lots of text. So there's long outlines. I'll write. Another early exercise that I found I really, really like doing is sometimes I'll write a very, very long monologue from the perspective of the lead character of something, as if they were in a bar and they were sitting at the bar, and I sat down next to him and said, hey, I heard this thing happen to you. And that thing is the story of this movie that I'm about to write. I heard this thing happen. What happened? What was the deal with that? I heard the syndicate was trying to get this plutonium to blow up this valley in India, and I heard, and you had to go and stop it. That must have been crazy, Ethan. Can you tell me about what that was like? And then I'll sort of do, in this example, or this fictitious example, since I did not write Fallout, okay, here's how Ethan would tell that story. Here's how the lead character would tell you about this thing that happened to him or her. This is how he would tell the story. These are the moments that he would focus on, that she would find really important, and these are the other things that person would leave out. And that I always find a really helpful exercise because if the lead character doesn't, it's helpful for realizing actually sometimes what to leave out, because it always feels like, well, if the lead character doesn't think that moment is particularly important in his or her life, then it probably is not that important a moment in the film. And so it can probably go. Yeah, sometimes I'll even go back to those later on in the process and say, what was, if something isn't working later on, you can go, oh, I wonder if that's because it's actually not that important for this person, and this other thing happened to them that was more important to them, earlier and late or later. Like, I mean, the outfit's a funny example of that, because with outfit, there was the movie takes place, as I was saying, in one location. It takes place over about 36 hours. So there's a ton of stuff that happened before the movie starts. And then because it's all in one location, characters are coming and going. So there's a ton of stuff that happens off screen that you're sort of hearing about. Someone comes in and reports this thing has happened, or they've come in, in one case in that movie, like bleeding from a gunshot wound to the stomach because someone shot them off screen. So there's a big sequence has happened off screen. We have to sort of figure out what happened in that sequence. And so in some way, those sorts of exercises are useful for saying, outfit was a script where it was really useful to have those exercises, because we could say, okay, this is everything that's happened. Ignoring what we're going to see, ignoring what we're not going to see, ignoring what's on camera, what's off camera, I don't care. Just what's the story of what happened, over a couple year period. And what would these characters think are the most important parts of that story? And then you can sort of see, okay, how are we going to talk about those events, over the course of the 36 hours that film takes place in. So yeah, that's another. I have all sorts of other bizarre little rituals and I don't know, interim steps I do over the course of writing something. I find it also just sort of gets the pen moving, so to speak, right? It gets you sort of not, especially early on, you kind of just want to be generating stuff.
Right.
So I like treatments. I write long treatments. These are the things that I'm interested in. I'll write kind of long documents where I'm and sometimes even I'll write things that are sort of just to myself to say, when I'm 6 months from now, when I'm really stuck on this and think this is the worst thing I've ever tried to put my name at the top of, and why did I say I want to do this in the first place? What's the one paragraph version of why I was so excited about this? Why did I fall in love with this in the first place? Why did I say I'm going to spend a year doing this in the first place? And I want to have that in a paragraph, and I want to have that paragraph easily findable as the months go on, so that when things get bleak, I can remind myself, oh yeah, that was the bit. It's also helpful to look at those then later when, you go through a bunch of drafts and you get notes and you're sort of thinking about it and you're sort of going, oh, wait, did I forget in the script to include the part that I loved in the first place? Sometimes you forget the thing that you originally loved, and you forget to put it into the thing, which is so strange. And it would be like someone asked you to write a Mission Impossible movie and you don't include a running scene. And then you get to the end of it and you go, oh, wait, that's what I fell in love with. I fell in love with these great chase sequences. How could you not we got to reevaluate this now, right? That was the thing that we got excited about from the beginning.
Well, Charles, is it time?
Oh, I guess it's time for the big questions.
Yeah.
Graham, I since you're a listener to the show, I assume you know what we're about to ask you.
Oh, man, I do.
We already know Fallout's at the top for you, and MI2's at the bottom. So what's everything in between? And then also, what are your hair rankings?
Okay. All right. So yes, as a longtime fan, first time caller, I've been thinking about this and had to answer for a while. And my ranking has changed a little over the last week, because I've said, I can't go on Light the Fuse, and I'm committed, right? If I say it here, that's my ranking. And if I come back,
this is going to live on forever.
Oh my God, my children are going to listen to this and go, you really thought Rogue Nation was better than Ghost Protocol? Really? You sure? But I do. So I think I would go 6-1, 5-4-3-2.
Okay, hold on. Let's break that down.
6-1.
6-1. So Rogue Nation over Ghost Protocol.
I think Rogue Nation is better than Ghost Protocol. I like them both a lot. Don't get me wrong. This is not the bar. We set the bar high here. I was the one out here defending 2 earlier.
That's true.
Lest ye forget. I think I want it on the record that I think I'm your only podcast guest to try and offer a really vociferous defense of the second Mission Impossible movie, which I think has a lot of great parts to it.
Well,
There's also
David Grabinski had his own.
Grabinski's
Yeah, he
been
had a
big supporter
website
as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. I haven't listened to that one. Yeah, I listened to that. No, I think. Why do I think it's so hard to analyze? Why do I think Rogue Nation's better than Fallout? It's close, and I even think I was gonna go for a while. I was gonna go 6-5-1 4-3-2, but then I decided no. I think it's 6-1-5 4-3-2 because 1 and 5 are so close to me for me in my rankings.
Very interesting.
So strangely, I think that the third act sequence in Ghost Protocol is not as exciting to me as the third act sequence in Rogue Nation, which is so strange because obviously it's a much bigger sequence in Ghost Protocol, right? And it sort of should be. That's how this movie, these sorts of movies should end. And the utter strangeness of Rogue Nation's final sequence, right, where it's so tiny.
Until Fallout, that's always been what the movies have done, is they've had their big scene in the middle. It's very strange. Fallout finally broke that, but
yeah. I should have brought that up to you too. The structures of these movies with their like giant it seems like until Fallout it was like the big set piece, like Drew said, is like in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, it's funny. They do kind of, because in a way it's not necessarily the biggest sequence or just sort of the biggest stunt is in the middle of the movie, right? The ending action sequence in Ghost Protocol is pretty actiony, right? It's just not. It's how do you compare to the Burj Khalifa sequence?
Yeah.
That's just so iconic and so like nothing you've ever seen before. But next, it's funny, maybe even thinking about it into the first movie where the train sequence at the end it's such a massive and wonderful big final action sequence. But the really iconic image from the first movie is Ethan hanging from the ceiling of Langley, right? Over that white tile floor.
And to me, the greatest thing about 3 is the Vatican, like by far.
Oh, yeah, the Vatican sequence is amazing. So in some ways, it's sort of like, what's the biggest stunt? Yeah, maybe that's an interesting example where, yeah, even in 1, I don't know that the Langley break-in is the biggest sequence in the movie. It's just, in some ways, it's really small, right? It's so simple.
True.
Well, it's pretty elaborately staged. There's a lot of moving. Every team member has something they're doing, and it's kind of, it also is that inaugural heist with that team. He's brought these people together. So
yeah, you make a good point.
I don't know. Correct me if I'm
No, you make
wrong.
a really good point. I have to think about that. Yeah, and there's something I will say though. There's in some ways maybe that's one of the things that I just love so much about Rogue Nation is that third act. So the third act of Rogue Nation is a perfect example of something that if you put that in a screenplay, people would say this is about it. No. Nothing. The third act is just he sits in the chair and memorizes the numbers, and then he runs a little bit through the streets. Like that's so much smaller than not just the big middle sequence, but every other sequence in that movie. And yet it's great and it's super compelling because it shows. It's something I think all the movies always do really well. They always give you real human stakes to an action sequence. I think about this a lot, about the sequences that you don't, in a lot of big studio movies, whenever they say there's a bomb that's going to explode, and it's going to kill 1 million people off screen who we're never going to see or hear from, it's hard to care that much. But when it's like, this bomb is strapped to Benji's chest and Benji might blow up, now I feel it, right? I know that's a character who I have deep emotional connection with. Threats to him are really scary to me. Threats to Ilsa Faust are really scary to me. Threats to Luther are really scary to me. The movie they all do a good job of sort of putting people in jeopardy rather than putting people you don't know in jeopardy. And it's always so much more compelling for it. But yeah, that final sequence when they put Solomon Lane in the box, it's just great.
Yeah.
You know how you circumvent notes from a studio like that, Graham? You don't have a script. So they figured it out. They figured it out on the Mission Impossible movies. All right, give us your hair rankings.
But that might even be something where you don't even know. Oh, God, the hair rankings. I don't know if I can go through all 6 movies in the hair ranking.
Just tell us if you're a long hair guy, a short hair guy.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Short hair. So as I said, I was in high school when the first Mission Impossible came out. And I remember that talk about iconic hairstyles. That first Mission Impossible Tom Cruise hairstyle. Oh man, I remember all the guys in my high school had that haircut by the next week. I mean, everybody went to the barber after that movie. And I always wished I could. My hair doesn't do that. I couldn't get it. I could never get it to do that if I wanted to. But that was the one, that first Mission Impossible movie, that was the one where I just remember everyone I knew had that haircut. And moreover, it wasn't just the people that I knew in high school that had the haircut. The guys who would never talk to me, who I only wished were my friends in high school, had that haircut. And so it's always going to be just an object of fascination for me.
We love it too. So yeah.
We're excited for it to be short again in 7 too. That's another thing we're excited about.
Yeah, I can't wait. Do you know? I'm sure. Are you going to some special screening of 7? Do you know how it's going to work out? I would imagine at this point, given your guests over the past months, like, or is there a part of you that wants to just, I don't know, go to, the AMC in Burbank or something and just see it with a total crowd of regular folks?
Yeah.
Have you thought about this?
We want it all. We want everything. We want to go early screenings, later screenings, public screenings, private screenings. Give it to us.
We want to see it in a pool. We want to see it on a jet. We want to be everywhere. Yeah.
They're actually doing a pool screening of Top Gun Maverick in Vegas soon.
We need to get our abs ready.
We should go to that.
Yeah.
This is a dumb question because I don't know about these things. Are they screening the movie in a pool, or are they screening the movie and then there's a pool near the movie so the audience is in the pool?
I believe the audience is in the pool. Yeah.
The audience is in the pool and there's a screen. It's at one of the major hotels. I'm trying to look up which one it was. But
Charles likes to browse pool screenings in his free time, so he sent me that.
Have you gone to one of those, have you gone to a pool screening in Vegas? I can't. Now I'm trying to picture Charles.
No, I haven't.
Going to.
But we're thinking about it now.
We got to get on the workout routine first. We can't show up looking like this. They'd boo us out of the pool.
But yeah, hopefully I don't know. We have not heard anything, but we would love to go to an early. I think I'd be more inclined to see an early screening, like a test screening of 7 than I would of 8, because the story's going to end or whatever I don't know if the whole story's going to end, but these 2 movies, the story will end in 8. So I'd be more inclined to see a test screening of 7, and maybe I'd want to save myself a little bit more for 8 when it's done. I don't know. A lot of conflicted feelings there.
Yeah, I felt similarly when Maverick came out, where I remember friends saying, "Oh, do you want to go to some screening wherever?" And I kept going, "No, I don't want to go to a screening of Top Gun Maverick. I want to go to the AMC in Burbank, and I want to sit in the middle of the theater with my big pop. I don't want to see the movie with movie people. I want to see the movie with people. I mean, that's what this is. Are you crazy? Yeah. I feel like that's a movie. I felt the same way when Avatar was coming out, right? I was like, no, I'm not going to a screening of Avatar. I'm going to a movie theater with people to see it. That's the experience that these films should be enjoyed in. That's the way I saw it when I was 15 years old.
Right. The thing that was so amazing about Top Gun Maverick is that we saw it for the first time at CinemaCon in Vegas. They convert like Caesar's Palace. They converted it into like a Dolby theater, right, Drew?
Yeah. It was an Atmos theater that I think they replicated for the premiere.
It was all movie people. It was all exhibitors, I guess, or the people who were at CinemaCon. But everybody was just completely reduced to just being normal audience members because the movie was so fucking great. So just like everybody's crying, everybody's cheering. Like it was just amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, it was pretty regular in the sense that there were like guys who run like, popcorn distributors in Ottawa or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't all just,
yes. Yes.
Some more salt to the earth people. Yeah.
Yes.
Are there big popcorn companies that go to CinemaCon? I've never been. I can't. Is that a thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of like regional theater owners, popcorn distributors. I'm sure affiliates from the soda company. That's the kind of vibe because it is a trade show as much as anything else. So yeah.
Yeah.
But and press too, right? There was some press. Obviously, that's us. We were there.
Yeah, we were wearing hats with the little press card in it.
Oh man, I've never.
We're here to see the picture. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
That I can imagine.
Yeah.
That I can see. I can picture that perfectly. But now I want to know more about who the popcorn people are. I feel like I'm always thinking of what my plan B is when I get drummed out of
Yeah.
Hollywood. And now it's, I could just go into popcorn.
I think you'd
Like,
be
I love
great.
popcorn. I love, yeah. The kind of, I'm surprised. I feel like they keep talking about, all the big theater chains are finding novel ways to monetize the theater going experience, which they need to do to keep the theater going experience alive. And I feel like there's been this stuff in the press about, charging for sight lines for different seats. But, bespoke popcorn experiences, a little more like, oh, this is, a special Mission Impossible popcorn kernel, right? This is, you have like a popcorn sommelier that says, for Mission Impossible, this is the popcorn. And then when you go to see a Marvel movie, you should have this other popcorn. You could make it, make it a thing. It's nice.
Yeah. I think you found your next profession. You could be a popcorn mogul.
Oh, God. Don't tempt me, my friend. That's all I'll say.
Well, Graham, thank you so much for being on the show and for putting up with Charles for 14 years. I've put up with him longer, but I think once you get past a decade, that's a real achievement. So, yeah.
And you can't get into popcorn, Graham, because we need more movies and we need more novels from you. So you can't do that. Do you have anything coming up that you can plug? I wanted to get you on here for The Outfit. Now, obviously, that's on VOD, I assume, and everywhere to rent and buy.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon and all this stuff. Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not plugging anything. My next book isn't gonna be out for a year. My Outfit came out a year ago. I'm finishing this book.
Can you give us the log line of the book? What's the book about? Get people excited.
Not yet. Can't talk about it yet.
Okay.
But I know. I'm not proning. I have nothing to sell. I'm here. This isn't about selling.
The love.
This is about talking about the love. No, it really is. It's about talking about these things that we all love. That's why I'm so excited to do it. It's so nice when you get to have these conversations with no ulterior motive.
Well, we're going to put links to your work in the show notes for this episode, so we will encourage people to check out all your work because it's all incredible. People who aren't familiar.
Oh, thank you guys. That's really kind of you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for accepting this mission, Graham.
It is my pleasure, and continue your fine work. I can't wait to hear who you're going to interview next. I feel like this is going to be the only episode of Light the Fuse that I'm not going to listen to. So you guys got to go do some more. So I can learn some more stuff about this franchise.
We will try. We will try to educate you and the rest of the folks. But yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we're back. Charles, how you feeling? How you doing?
I feel great. I mean, it was such a pleasure to have Graham, to catch up with him. I haven't talked to him in a bit. And, Oscar-winning screenwriter Graham Moore we had on the show. Just another Oscar winner. We've had a lot.
But we've never touched any of their Oscars, and they haven't really shown them to us on our Zoom calls. So
no, I think they hide them away. They lock them away before they see us.
Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true.
Can you blame them?
No, not at all.
Well, it's over now, Graham. It's a goodbye to Graham. I thought it was really interesting how he writes a monologue from the point of view of the main character telling the story of the movie. What an interesting technique. I thought that was really cool to hear about.
Yes.
And of course it was amazing to hear him talking about Dick Pope and working with Dick Pope and hearing the story about McQuarrie and how he was on set and he would take time to himself. That was interesting. And also he talks about the utter strangeness of the finale for Rogue Nation. And if that kind of small third act was in the screenplay, no one would go for it. McQuarrie has actually directly talked about that. I think he said that he asked the head of the studio or someone like that, this person said the ending works really well, but McHugh asked him, okay, but if that was in the script, would you have ever gone for it? And they of course said no. Just like Graham said.
Yes, and we all know that there was a bigger finale planned, scrapped, rewriting.
Yeah.
We've covered it pretty extensively on the show. Yes.
Yeah. I'm also just so happy that Graham loves the hair in the first movie. I feel like we've encountered some people over our time making this show who are not big fans of the hair from the first movie, and that always makes me sad.
Someone very recently told us they could not stand it.
Yeah. Not happy about that. But, it was here that his friends were trying to get that haircut. I'm still trying to get that haircut.
Yeah, I think we might be past our prime when it comes to that specific haircut. But I mean, he obviously pulled it off with aplomb. And
I probably need to stop asking my hairdresser to do Ethan Hunt from the first movie and do like John Voight. Like, can you make my hair look like John Voight's?
a little, yeah, maybe. Well, what is Emilio's hair is sort of similar though too. Maybe that was just kind of the standard issue IMF hair.
Yeah. I feel like I want to go for like John Voight in Heat. Maybe that should be what my new
that
hairstyle
would be,
should be.
Yeah, that would be something. I support that.
Yeah. Anyway, it was lovely to have Graham on the show. I'm sure he regrets it, but it was nice to talk to him. And should we tell people who we have coming up next week?
Well, yeah, why not?
I guess things could get shuffled around, so maybe we don't want to say who.
Well, you could say that who we have tentatively planned. You also need to tell us about this Patreon. So I don't know what you want to do first, or.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I guess first I'll say that we have spoken to Paul Scheer, who is an actor and comedian and podcast. He's everywhere. He's all over. He's got a great show called Unspooled with Amy Nicholson. And other. He has multiple shows, right?
Yeah, he has multiple shows, and he's in, I think, The History of the World Part 2, which just premiered on Hulu this week.
Yes.
Kind of a week long event. So he's all over the place, but yeah.
Yeah. And he was nice enough he talked about our show on Dax Shepard's podcast, which was it's a big show. And he mentioned our podcast and our 200th episode with Tom Cruise on there. And it was really nice of him. And we were like, hey, you want to come on the show? So it was great. Awesome to talk to him. He has really great analysis of the Mission Impossible movie. So you're going to love that talk with him. But let me talk about the Patreon, because I know Drew doesn't know anything about what a Patreon is.
Yeah,
it
please.
is a way to support this show. If you go to patreon.com/lightthefuse, you can sign up for bonus content and get weekly bonus episodes. There's other levels. You can be a part of our monthly Zoom chat and be a part of that amazing group of people who are huge Mission Impossible fans. And we get into all kinds of inside stuff, inside knowledge of what's coming up on the show and other things. And you can join that group if you go to patreon.com/lightthefuse and sign up. You can also support the show by buying a shirt or a magnet or a pin or a pillow. Come on, guys, get a pillow. Who doesn't want a pillow?
We need to move some pillows. There's been a backlog, and we got to move them.
Drew's got a garage full of pillows, and we need to get rid of them.
I bought them from the My Pillow guy. He seemed like he needed some help, and maybe it was a poor decision, but I got to get him out of here.
So do that. tpublic.com/user/lightthefusepod. You can also just go to our website, lightthefusepodcast.com, and under the merch tab, you'll see a few samples there and a direct link to our TeePublic store. While you're on the website, also check out our episode guide and see all the show notes for every single episode that we have done since the middle of 2018, Drew. We've done an episode every Friday since then.
I know. It has been absolutely terrible, but you know what?
Come on, it hasn't been that bad. It's been nice to hang out.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And you know what? If you really want to keep up to tabs on us, you know, the latest breaking stuff, follow us on social media, LightTheFuse-Pod, on Instagram and Twitter. And remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening to this show. And just tell people about it. Talk about it. Just bring it up casually, maybe awkwardly insert it into a conversation about something completely different.
Yeah.
We just need the exposure. And yeah, Charles, you have some shout outs to give too, or did you already do that?
No, I do. You're right. I have to give a special thank you to Matthew Costa, Jacob from Holland, and Mark Mahan. So thank you to Matthew, Jacob, and Mark for making this episode possible. I also want to credit our editor and mixer, Luke Burson, and I want to credit our music composer, Kevin Blumenfeld, for making our wonderfully legally iffy music. And also give a thank you to our intern, Amber Cohen. She's been helping us out. And I guess that's it for now. We got more shows, of course, every Friday. You can't get rid of us.
And hopefully we'll be back with Paul Scheer next week, which I think people are going to really enjoy. I was dying laughing. He was great.
Yeah, it was really great. You'll love it. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.